What's up, guys? Back for another Mythic Legions Advent of Decay, taking a look at one of the more unique characters in this line. Today we're taking a look at the gruesome Morgolyth. This is a very cool looking figure, one that I've been itching to get into, so we're going to take a look at her today. You can see her there in the standard Mythic Legions packaging. You've got her in that big window. We do, of course, have a bio for her on the side, and then the back has that same artwork that we've seen throughout the line so far. So let's pull her out and take a look. All right, guys, here she is out of the package. Morgolyth, the leader of one of the factions in this line, the Congregation of Necronominus. So one of the big skeleton factions. She is in charge. She's, related to one of the older figures, Malleus. She's related to Brother Mandibulus. So there's a lot of cool stuff. Her little bio really gives you a lot of information on the faction, on some figures, not to mention the fact that we've got a very cool toy in front of us as well. I'm really excited about this one. This is easily one of the female figures I was most looking forward to, so I'm very much interested to take a look. Of course, we're going to start off with articulation and see how she moves around. So, of course, just to mention it, I do obviously have the soft goods and the pauldrons on her because she comes with them, and that's kind of the theme I've been going with. If they have a cape, I put it on ahead of time. We don't talk about it like an accessory. So keep that in mind. It does somewhat impede articulation, but ultimately it doesn't really change the profile too much. Head, surprisingly, has a good range of motion. I mean, obviously, she has got a lot going on from the neck up. She can look up pretty far, and she can look down a little bit. She can rotate, but you have to kind of angle the head a bit. But for such a humongous headpiece, it is very mobile. Arms go out, they spin all the way around. We've got rotation at the elbow with a single joint. We've got rotation at the gauntlet, rotation at the wrist, as well as a hinge. She's got an upper diaphragm swivel, so she can swivel back and forth, little bobble side to side and back and forth. And then we've got a waist rotation in there. Mine's pretty tight still, but it is there. Legs go out, they kick forward, they kick back. There's no thigh cut on the skeleton, so we have that joint absent. We've got hinge and rotation at the knee. And then we've got rotation, rocker, and hinge down there at those ankles. So, she is as articulated as any other figure, at least as any other skeleton in the line. And despite that humongous headdress on her, she does move around better than I expected. So in all things considered, this is par for the course with this line. But let's be honest, that's not what we're here for. We're not here for her articulation. We know how these figures move around in most cases. And what's really striking about this figure is obviously her sculpt and her paint. I absolutely love her color scheme. I love this kind of lavender, light purpley color against the silver, and then of course with the bones. Everything just pops on her. All the details on the armor itself really sticks out. She is very similar to a lot of the skeletons in terms of what she features with the shoulder armor and things like that. Of course, the structure is generally the same with the bones, but what we have is a few interesting changes, and I'm not sure how many other skeletons have bare feet, but she has bare feet, which is pretty nice. So far, nothing I've opened has bare feet. We'll find out as we go along, I suppose. She does share armor with a lot of other figures. That's not too crazy. I do, again, like the color scheme. I think it works really well with this particular set of armor. We got all the inlay set as silver, and then all of the actual plating itself is, of course, this purple color. What I really like about her armor, though, is on her chest, you can see that she has kind of a rib cage design on there that crosses this particular set of armor, which may be unique. I'm not entirely sure. I have yet to come across one like that. So it's really striking. It adds a little more detail. It adds more silver to her chest to break up the purple. Really dig that. I always, as usual, love the armor that is bolted onto their arms. I really think that's a cool touch for the skeletons, because how else would you put it on there? There's no straps, there's nothing like that, so obviously it's kind of meant to be seen as something that is actually fixed to the character, which I think is really cool. You can see, actual finger bones, and you can see the actual nails and everything that are on the hands and on the feet, because I don't think we have any other skeletons, at least, again, that I've opened, Brother Mandibulus, Celtis, Scaphoid, those guys don't have exposed hands and feet, so this is new in terms of what I've seen. I'm sure it exists elsewhere, but it's new for me. There's a nice paint detail in there, so there's a bit of a wash. It's kind of a brownish wash. Not exactly black, but it's not dark brown either. So it brings out the sculpt there quite a bit. Everything's nicely done. Of course, paint detail on the armor is exquisite as per the norm with this particular line. She does have kind of the standard knight's pauldron, so we've seen these before. And then her cape is really nice, and it seems a little long, honestly. She's supposed to be kind of like a high priestess, which I think makes this work. It flows really well. And just like I did with Ravenna, I changed up how I pegged this cape on. So there's two holes going into the pauldrons, and then the outer holes are through her arms. And for some reason, I'm digging this a little bit more than I have been. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go this route through and through, but I do like the way it hangs on her. It bunches up nicely. It flows really well on the backside. And just overall, I mean, everything is nicely done here. Paint detail, everything that can have paint does have paint. Everything that is painted is nicely painted. No globs, no scrapes, no scratches, nothing like that. It just looks exquisite. Of course, the body of this figure is not even close to the defining characteristic on Morgolyth. This head sculpt is absolutely crazy. I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's just humongous. I get a very Independence Day alien type of vibe when I look at this headdress, like it's, the carapace on those aliens, but that's just me. I really, really dig this head sculpt. I think the skull, the actual lower jaw, and the nose that peeks through is really nicely done. You can see on the backside, we've actually got her spine sticking through the back there. So touches like that are just the things that I like to see on these figures, are those little touches, the little things that could be missed otherwise. I like the eye paint. I like the fact that she's got a mask over her skull, so it's not just a fully exposed skull. So you've got the kind of black inset with the white eyes in there. It's really nicely done. It's very striking. It pops against the silver as well, which is really nice. And then, of course, we do have this massive headdress, and it's pitted all along the edges, but of course the top is covered in these kind of swirl designs that are inlaid into the plastic, and then they've got those ridges that run up the top. So there's just a ton of detail all over every inch of this particular head sculpt, and it's a humongous head sculpt at that. So there is just a lot going on here, and it all looks great. It's very high priestessy. It looks, very ancient, and she looks like a person of importance, and it certainly gets hammered home with the design of this head. All right, now as far as accessories goes, she has a pretty solid spread. Obviously, we've already talked about the soft goods, and we've talked about the pauldrons just because of the configuration I put her in to begin with, but of course she does come with the strap, she comes with all the back adapters, all that normal stuff, but then she comes with 4 different weapons. We'll start off and take a look at the dagger here. So we've seen this guy before, curved dagger, so silver blade and a light purple handle to match her armor, and then we got a purple sheath with silver accents on it. So we've seen this a number of times at this point. She has got one of the standard swords in the line, silver blade, gold handle. Really nothing remarkable about this, but she always, you always get a standard weapon, so she's got that. We've got this staff. We've seen this a number of times. This is another instance where I'm not too happy with the staff. It's just the staff in general is really not my favorite. I like the design, but in this instance, it's another case of different colors. I wish they were the same color. I wish this was gold and purple and not silvery gunmetal purple and purple. And then we've also got the issue of this thing being really, really wide. So it stretches her hands out really badly, and honestly, her hands are really thin to begin with and really tight on my figure in particular. So that's concerning to me. I don't think I'm ever going to display her with this anyway, but it's just been a theme with just about every figure that's had this, is that this thing is just way too thick. And then lastly, we have got this monstrous sword, which I absolutely love. Color scheme perfectly matches her suit of armor. We've got the light purple designs for the hilt, black handle. We've got all these runes inlaid into the blade itself on both sides. There's a bit of a wash on the blade as well. It's massive. She holds it really well in both hands though, and I just absolutely dig the design. This is easily one of my favorite swords so far. I know it's not unique to her. I think it at least comes in a weapon pack, but I haven't found it with another figure just yet, but that doesn't mean others don't include it. I just still haven't come across it. So this is really, really cool. A very, very interesting design, and easily the best thing that she comes with as far as I'm concerned. So overall, I am really, really happy with Morgolyth. I think the idea behind this High Priestess skeleton works exceptionally well. She goes really nicely with some other skeletons because obviously the theme continues on with bone people, which is always great, but then her colors are different, so she does stand out. I think the soft goods work really well on her. My only real issue is, yet again, I think the female characters continue to get these staffs that are just way too big for their hands. I really worry that her hands in time could actually crack because they are rather thin and they stretched way too far when I was using that staff on her. So that's a bit of a worrisome point, but otherwise from a sculpt and paint and just design standpoint, I think she is rock solid and a really, really fine addition to the line. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legion's Advent of Decay Morgolyth figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.